Hi, it's Kris, Miss Kris. I'm going to make challah. Mohammed at Soho Pizza was so kind to share yeast, and this is a time when yeast is really hard to find in the grocery stores, and it is Ramadan, and so I thought I'd make him a nice raisin challah, sweet challah. And my students at Kenwood and Minneapolis kids love the challah, so I thought I would demonstrate it. Now remember, when you go to make challah, don't rush it. This is going to take 4 to 6 hours, and this recipe will make 2 good-sized challahs. You'll need 1 cup of warm water. You'll need a little bit of sugar, maybe a half a teaspoon or so. This is for the yeast. The yeast needs some food, and the sugar is the food. And then a tablespoon of the yeast. And then you'll give that a stir, and you have to wait about 10 minutes for it to become bubbly. Okay, so this is the yeast, 1 tablespoon of dry yeast in 1 cup of warm water and about a teaspoon of sugar. And this is after 10 minutes. And as you can see, it's bubbly and frothy. Now to this, I add 3 room temperature eggs. Give them a stir. And these are very large eggs. Pour that in. It is half a cup of buckwheat honey. And then to this, as soon as I get all this good honey out. Now I get the buckwheat honey from Lindale Farmers Market, and it's Hegerberg's buckwheat honey, and it is just amazing honey. Now I add 1/3 cup of canola oil, and I give all this a nice little stir. Still has some honey in there. I want to get all that out as much as I can. All right, and then to this, you are going to add your flour. Now, what I usually do is you can sift your flour into here, but what I did was, here, I'll show you. I've got this nice big jar. This used to be a honey jar. And I put the lid on tight, and I give it a good shake. And that way, I get a lot of air in my flour, so it measures out quite well this way. So I add about, this is half cup measuring, so this is 2 cups so far. Give that a nice stir. Now the trick is, when you're making bread, is not to add too much flour, especially when you're making challah, because you don't want your challah to be dry. Now, as you can see, it's quite wet still, so I need quite a bit more flour. Just another cup. I'll do 1.5 cups. So now I have 3.5 cups of flour in here. And I have not added my salt because yeast and salt do not get along. So I'm going to add my salt now, which is a good time because I got most of my flour, I can see. And it's a teaspoon of salt. There we go. Add more flour. And I like to do my challah by hand. I mix it all by hand. I don't use a bread maker, and I don't use the mixer because I like to feel it. I need more flour. Oh, it smells good already. All right, so I am at the point now where I am going to turn it out onto the countertop and start kneading. So I'm getting every last bit out. I grab a spoon here. There we go. That's pretty good. Get that out of my way. There's one tool that I did forget to get out, and that is called a dough scraper. So I'm gonna walk over to my little drawer where I keep it over here. This is a great tool, just because you can scrape it up, and this way you won't use too much flour, which you, like I said before, you don't want to add too much flour. And a dough scraper scrapes it up when it sticks to your countertop. See how it's sticking a little bit? And so we are going to be kneading now for about 8 minutes. So you push down, pull forward, turn it, push down, pull forward, push down, pull forward, and scrape it up as you go. Push down, pull forward. And you're using this part of your hands. Sprinkle a little bit because it's really getting sticky. Push down. And this is one of the better things about making bread dough is feels good. So I've kneaded this for about 8 minutes. I'm going to take my bowl. I put some oil in the bowl so it doesn't stick too badly. And I think I've got a little too much oil in there, but it'll be okay. And then I plop it into the bowl and I cover it with some plastic. I'm gonna let this rest now for about 5 minutes, and then I'll knead it again for a few minutes, about 5 minutes. The flour that I use is white whole wheat flour that I buy at the Wedge Co-op in bulk. And I like it because it's a finer whole wheat flour. It has all the nutrition still in it, but it makes excellent challah. Okay, so the dough has risen till double. And so take it out and we will knead it for about 2 or 3 minutes or so. And don't skip this process, because if you skip this process, when your challahs bake, if you haven't done this, they will split apart. And you don't want them to split apart because then they aren't as pretty. So, kneading away the same way that I showed you before. Push it away from you and fold it over. And it is it's a bit of an exercise. Anyway, so here we go. That's about good. It feels really nice. So you can see it's come together nicely. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to make 2 challahs. So I'm going to cut each one into 3. That one's a little too big. So add it there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, we gotta let it rest a little bit because they're not gonna hold their shape very well if we try to roll it out right now. So we will cover it up and I'll just let it rest for about 5 minutes. Okay, so we rested the cut pieces of dough. I'm gonna take a little bit of flour here because they're a little sticky. Put a little bit out. You don't want it to stick to your work surface here. There we go. And I learned to do this part. I don't remember, a while ago anyway. So I roll it out, get out the air bubbles this way. And then, whoops, and then I roll it up. Oh, it's sticking a little bit. And I set them aside. And I will do the same to all of them. And I also have some raisins. I'm going to put some raisins in 3 of them because that's going to be the gift to Muhammad as a thank you for sharing his yeast with me. I was all out of yeast. So this is how I put the raisins in also. So I roll it out. This actually makes the challahs look a little more professional when you roll it out like this. So you take a few raisins, spread them around, just a couple more. And I scatter them around on the dough. And then I roll it up into a log, just like I did all the others. A couple more. Get out of my way. It's always good to have enough workspace when you're doing any kind of work and cooking. I push it down a little bit so they stay put. And I roll it towards me in a log, give it a little pinch on the ends, and then I roll it out. All right, so I have 3 with raisin and 3 without. Now I'm going to show you a trick on how you keep your parchment in place. Just take your little brush a little bit of water on there, and voila. Sticks, sort of. Gotta get it on the ends. There we go. All right. Now, roll this out. Oh, this dough is beautiful. Just beautiful. You want them about the same length. Move that away. Move that away. Gather them up and pinch them together, and then we braid over, over. The outside goes to the middle, outside to the middle, out. And you switch each side, just like this, and keep going. And then pinch and tuck down, and then put it on your baking sheet. Okay? And then we will do the same with the raisin. All right, we'll pinch them together. That holds the braid together as you're going. Outside over the middle, and again, and just switch from the outside to the center, outside to the center, just like you braid your hair, if you're lucky enough to have long hair. All right, now I like to use the bag. Again, it has oil on top, a little bit from before. This way the moisture stays in, and then I put a hand towel on top, and I'll let this rise until it's almost double. And you'll want to preheat your oven to 375. Okay, so now the challah has risen, and I have to put an egg wash on it so it looks shiny and pretty when it bakes. All right. So we brush egg wash. This is 1 egg with about half a teaspoon or so of oil. And that's it. Just stir it up and brush it on. My oven has preheated to 375. And we will pop the challah into the oven. 375 for about, that one came apart, for about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. All right, so the challahs are done. Oh, they look beautiful. And careful, they're hot. That's the raisin and the plain. I hope you enjoy baking challah.